every single time a right-winger manages to win an election. And by right-winger, it means someone that represents the interests of the common folk rather than the elites. The mainstream media treats it as if it's the end of the world. And it's also like they're being caught completely by surprise. I mean, look at this title: A Shock for Europe. They created the spirit of Europe. The avatar, it's like a goddess, which is the Europe. And she's in shock. Anti-Islam populist. Geert Wilders records a massive win in Dutch elections. How many buzzwords can you fit in one sentence? And then they repeat. Anti-Islam populist Geert Wilders won a huge victory in Dutch elections according to a near-complete count of the vote, in a stunning large to the far right for a nation once framed as a beacon of tolerance. So, I find it very interesting that it's a shock. I mean, don't you have studies and polls? Oh, you do, but you suppress them from the public, don't you? That's how it works in modern Europe. That is the actual spirit of Europe. Censorship. Make sure that two adults cannot have a conversation about politics online without a chaperone, without terms of service, without some AI looming over them. And then manipulate and change polls so that when someone does win, it looks shocking. But for normal people that actually follow my channel, or they follow politics in general, it was not shocking at all. I mean, in Netherlands, you have the issue with the farmers, right? Like imagine this. A person has a legitimate business. They're not doing anything illegal. They're not doing anything wrong. In fact, they are doing something beneficent for society. They are producing food. And in exchange, they pay taxes and they get money so that they can plant more food. And then the government comes with the diktat from the USSR, some bureaucrat that the average person in Netherlands has no control over, and they say, well, actually, you know what? Fuck the farmers. We want to protect the environment. And it's not even about carbon, by the way, because this was signed before Greta Thunberg rose her way to enlightenment and shared the beacon of her knowledge to the rest of us. No, apparently this was made in order to protect some sort of plant. I didn't even look at it. It's such a monumental beacon of human stupidity that is disgusting to even try to tackle it. But basically, they were like, yeah, it's something with the azot emissions or some shit like that. It wasn't even about the green gases. It was completely different. And the funny thing is, this isn't even related to global warming, because this was actually decided way before Greta Thunberg achieved the enlightenment and went to our leaders and asked them, how dare you? And then started taking pictures with Arnold Schwarzenegger. That with his muscle cars, with his bicycles. No, it's before that. Apparently, this has to do with the level of nitrogen. Yes, all of a sudden, nitrogen was a problem. Funny how, regardless of what the problem is, whether it's global warming, whether it's global cooling, whether it's this gas or another, the solution is always the same. Fuck the farmers, take away land from the people, make things into the public sector, or centralize things into powerful corporations. But whatever you do not allow the average individual to own his own shit. Minimize how much the average individual can own as much as possible, right? And all the problems in the world, no matter what they are, this seems to be always the solution. Lower the living standards of the average person, make sure that he doesn't own much, that everything he has to rent from someone, preferably the government, and of course, make sure that he can't speak, right? Like mass censorship, thought policing, thought controlling, right? Regardless of what the issue is, this always seems to be solution. Whether it's mass migration, whether it's global warming, no matter. Whether it's COVID, this is always the solution. Make the average person suffer and lower his lifestyle. So is it surprising that in this situation, especially when you also have the European Union approving a $1.5 billion scheme to buy out the Dutch farmers, is it surprising that people in the Netherlands, they look at the European Union as a hostile entity? Like, if you're going to do this to their country. You know, most people love their farmers. And believe it or not, I know it's difficult to grasp, especially for like a left-leaning person that lives in the city and drinks their soy lattes. Farming is a way of life. It's not just something that you ease into, like a job at being a barista at Starbucks. No, you actually have farmers that have studied farming and have the discipline required that they've learned from their parents, and their parents learned from their grandparents and so forth. So you can't just like take someone's ability to farm away and then just expect them that they're going to go and learn to code. And they're going to have their jobs replaced by the AI in the future. It doesn't work that way, right? So when you start fucking with people that did absolutely nothing to you, and you don't even care about what they think or what they say, or you don't even try to negotiate with them, yeah, in a democratic country, those people and their relatives and their friends are going to band together and they're going to form a voting bloc. So this is why Netherlands is being anti-EU. It's because the European Union as an entity was anti-Netherlands before that happened. This is not an attack. This is more like a self-defense. And then you talk about, oh, Islamophobia this, Islamophobia that. Okay, you look at other nations that took millions of refugees. What is their benefit? Like, how exactly does the UK benefit from doing this? How does the taxpayer benefit from this? That's the question. Like, you give money to the government. What did the government do with my money? Did it increase my standard of living? Did it increase my neighbor's standard of living? Did it increase my friend's standard of living? What did it do with the money? Well, apparently it opened the doors for refugees. Perfect. What did the refugees do? Well, now that there's a conflict in the Middle East, you get to see in London, you get to see in France, you get to see in other places that took more. You get to see these people marching and protesting and supporting Hamas, much to the dismay of the media, much to the dismay of the academics. They just don't understand how it's happening. Why is this a thing? How can it come to this? Pushing the ideology which justifies this, you know, the letter for Bin Laden trending on TikTok. And everyone is surprised, their Pikachu face. It's like, oh my god, how did it happen? How is it possible? Why is this a thing? Gee, I don't know, right? So, the fact that people actually do have access to internet, and that they do see what's happening in other countries around the world, and the fact that it does influence politics in other nations is for some reason shocking to the reporters. They just can't understand. They just can't grasp. It's like, how did this happen? How did it take place? And by the way, you know, they keep saying, oh, my far right this, my far right that. In Europe, this is the mainstream left-leaning thought that by 2030, people shouldn't own a gas stove, people shouldn't own a gas car, shutting down your nuclear reactors while having massive pipes of gas that are coming from Russia into the heart of the European Union, which is Germany. Mass censorship online in Germany, again, the heart of the European Union, using the state apparatus and all of its repression mechanisms against one of the most popular parties, which is the AfD. And for some reason, no journalist is saying, well, the rise of the far left. Well, these people are a little bit authoritarian. Not a lot, but a little bit authoritarian. They're a little bit crazy with power. A little bit mad with power. Who are these politicians? How long have they been in office? Can they even accept the possibility of ever losing an election? Like, can their brain handle the fact that they may lose their seats? And for the next 4 years, they have to convince the public to re-elect them? No, apparently not. Apparently that's never being discussed. No, it's the evil far right. And of course, far right means absolutely anything that goes against the far left. So you have center left, centrists, right-wingers, and the far right. All together, right? All of these encompass the evil far right, according to the press. Anyway, right. I'm not surprised by the results of these elections. And by itself, it doesn't mean much, but I wonder if the European Union can even understand that if they keep fucking with sovereign nations, the sovereign nations are going to eventually give them the middle finger in return. Like the shit that they tried to pull in Germany and France, you know, it works because it's Germany and France. But it's not going to work in Northern Europe. Because believe it or not, there's different Europes. The idea of the European Union is the most bullshit thing that has ever been created. You have 4 Europes. You have Eastern Europe, Western Europe, Northern and Southern. And they all have different cultures, different way of thinking, different way of viewing things. But the European Union wants the German way of viewing things to be spread across the bloc. And it just doesn't work that way. And the worst thing of all, they're not even willing to make compromises. They're not even willing to discuss with the people. They say, no, this is the correct way that things are being done and you have to do them. And it just doesn't work in Northern Europe, as we got to see in the Netherlands. Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.